Good morning, Bellows Falls, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike Smith, and we're here with Mike and Marty Gallagher, Mike Smith. And we're here today with Katie Dearborn and Andrew Malshuk. We're going to be doing updates on the PPP program and then what's happening with the schools and how kids today are compensating for being on quarantine. But first, we're going to start with Marty, and she's going to give us a little bit of update on the Rockingham Helpers and what's happening around town.
Rockingham Helpers are rolling right along. They're each and every week they're honing their systems. They're getting a little more organized. They're still working on the biggest project they're working on right now is the neighborhood mapping. That would be connecting people in neighborhoods together. They'd be like one neighborhood leader that would kind of make sure that the neighborhood was getting the needs of the neighborhood were getting met, and that the people that wanted to be volunteers in the neighborhood were having something to do. So that's their big project they're working on right now. Again, want to emphasize that they work in conjunction with our existing service agencies, Parks Place, Our Place, the Food Bank, Senior Solutions, Senior Center. They're not taking the place of those service agencies. They're working together with those service agencies. For instance, Parks Place has moved their diaper bank down to the Waypoint Center. And I'm guessing there's always a need for diapers. So if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, you know, what can I do? What needs can I provide? Grab some extra food when you go shopping, grab some diapers, grab some extra things, bring it down to the Waypoint Center and drop it off, and they'll make sure it gets distributed either through Our Place or in conjunction to what people need for Our Place. So that's what's going on.
Okay, that's good news on the diapers. Yesterday on one of the Today shows, or one of those was saying there's a rolling shortage of diapers going around now. They were actually showing how to make kids' diapers out of T-shirts.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's getting sad, isn't it?
It is.
But on the good note, we have Katie Dearborn with us, who works for Mascoma Bank, and she's been doing a whole bunch of work around the PPP, which is, I'm going to let her go. Katie, let us know what the PPP is and all the stuff you guys have been doing.
Great. Thanks, Mike. I'm excited to be here. Marty, thanks for having me as well. So Mascoma Bank is an SBA lender. And so when you're a partner with the SBA, when programs are offered through the federal government, it gave us an opportunity to administer this program. So I want to do a little bit of an overview on what the PPP program is. For anybody who's not aware, I think initially most folks thought that it was a situation where they had to have employees in order to qualify for a PPP loan, and that's not the case. So I want to just do a brief overview of what the PPP plan is, what the purpose of it is, how people went about accessing the funds, and really how it's impacted our area. So I'm going to start by referencing the SBA website. For anybody who really is looking for some specific information, you can go to the sba.gov website. There's a document that is called the interim final ruling for the SBA PPP program. Interim means they have changed it a couple of times along the way, which is not surprising because things came up and they needed to address them. And so they did do that. Any business that has less than 500 employees is eligible to apply for a PPP loan. The PPP stands for Paycheck Protection Program. The purpose of this program is to get money to small businesses so that they can continue to pay their employees, so their employees don't have to access unemployment. The unemployment program has obviously been bogged down because of the number of people that are trying to make claims. So this was an effort to try to take some of those people that were applying for unemployment and move them to their employer and have their employer compensate them so that they didn't have to apply for unemployment. Businesses that applied were restaurants, hairdressers, manufacturing, professional services, realtors, attorneys, and nonprofits as well. Basically, it's any business that feels that they're impacted by COVID-19. We don't know what the impact is going to be on us a month from now, 2 months from now. But I do know that folks in this area have felt the pressure, in particular, obviously, restaurants, hairdressers, retail stores. They're in a situation where their revenue is not what they've expected it to be at this time of the year. And so this program is in place so that they can continue to pay their employees. One of the challenges that I've seen come up is individuals that have been able to access the money. They feel that because of the stay-at-home order that's in place, they aren't able to resume their normal business activities to be able to pay their employees to do the job that they have. And so there's a lot of creative stuff going on. I have restaurants that are doing some deep cleaning. They're doing some painting, some rehabbing. They're paying their employees to do work that's not the traditional work that they normally would do, but it's allowing them to be compensated and not be on unemployment. So it's a little bit interesting. I think there are some that have found it a challenge to be able to meet the guidelines of this program, which I'll get into in a minute. But at the end of the day, the efforts behind this program was to try to keep people off of unemployment, keep businesses with money flowing, to ensure that they're going to have employees at the end of this COVID situation. Do you guys have any questions in regards to what I just went over?
No, well, I know you're going to talk about the actual things that you have to do to get into it, but I know we had a person last week that was saying that they just started a business and they were saying didn't think should they like call, like if you had questions about this, should they call? Because I know each circumstance is unique and it may or may not work, but would it be good for them to call you or go to a website, or how would that work?
Yeah, so anyone is welcome to reach out to me. I have thrown myself into this program and tried to understand it to the best of my ability, so that I could share it with my customers, but not just my customers, the entire community. I have people reaching out to me a lot saying, hey, I applied for this injury disaster loan. I haven't gotten anything. Can I apply for the PPP? Tell me about it. What do I need to do? So for anyone that's out within the community that's listening, please get in touch with me. I'm at Mascoma in Walpole. My number is 603-442-4681. My email is Katie, Katie .Dearborn @mascomabank.com. And I am absolutely happy to answer questions and try to direct anyone. So now I'm going to just talk a little bit about the application process, the documentation that we obtained from borrowers, what eligibility looked like, and then a little bit about forgiveness and what that looks like. So the application process actually started on April 3rd. That was the day that the SBA opened the funds to banks so that they could start processing those applications. The application was a very short application, not a traditional loan application. Basically, it was looking at what is the business name, what's your tax ID number, who are the owners of the business, and how much money are you looking to apply for. That was a little bit deceiving to some folks that were filling out the application, because the application clearly says, are you looking to use this money for payroll, rents, mortgage interest, utilities, or other? Folks thought that they needed to total up their utility bills and include all of these numbers in the calculation. However, the formula was really just set at what is your average monthly payroll, and then you times it by 2.5. What ended up happening is folks were adding different amounts in, and it caused some issues with underwriting. Basically, a business needed to provide us with W-2s and W-3s, the monthly income. We times it by 2.5, and that was the loan amount that they were potentially eligible for. There were some certifications they needed to make in order to qualify, and then from there, the application was submitted to the SBA. If it was approved, we created some loan documents, and within 10 days of the approval, the funds were in the business account. So it was a pretty fast process to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was a situation where I got to see real people applying for money, being awarded the money, and now using the money, which for me, during a time when things feel very awkward and uncertain, there was a lot of pleasure in me calling people and telling them that they were approved. So our first wave went through, the $349 billion was exhausted. Funding was turned off because it was all used. Mascoma continued to process applications. We got them ready for the next round. On April 10th, the funding opened up to sole proprietors, individuals that didn't have employees. But that wasn't an effort to try to replicate their income so that they could continue to support their households. So most folks provided Schedule Cs. We came up with that average monthly income. We times it by 2.5, and we were able to get them money. That might include a hairdresser. That might include a realtor. That might include a builder. It really was anyone that had a Schedule C that felt that their revenue was going to be impacted. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of the process. I know there's a lot of national news that indicates small businesses weren't able to access the money. I don't have exact figures, but what I will say is I don't know anyone that applied that wasn't able to access the money as long as they were able to provide us with the documents that we were asking for. That is from individuals to companies that had, 100 people. So the national news is not what's happening in this corner of the world. And that's what makes it a pleasure to live and work here, quite honestly.
That's amazing news, because just last night they were talking about how broke the system is. And then it was so great to have you on this morning and say, well, yeah, but not here. It's just.
Yeah. Do you guys know anyone that's benefited from the PPP money?
Yeah, I actually, I was going to speak to how, like from the consumer side, how easy it was to apply for the most part. I mean, the form was very straightforward. I had we have a payroll service that does our payroll. So they provided the exact report I needed. They jumped right on it and provided the report. All I had to do is plug in the numbers and send some copies of previous payroll history, and it was really straightforward. If you have your documentation in order, it's very simple. And we have our money now. It's sitting in our payroll account. This is the first payroll that we are able to use it for. So and the same thing, we've been able to keep our entire housekeeping and maintenance staff here employed, doing a lot of creative extra things. The building has been sanitized from the rooftop to the basement, even though I don't think we actually have a basement, but it's been sanitized from top to toe, because we've been able to take on those projects. And now I know that that my employees are covered. There's no stress. It was a big whew moment that when that money came through, and I know that those employees are then going to be able to live and to be able to then support other businesses. It all kind of goes in a big circle. They're going to go into the grocery store. They might stop and get a coffee at Flatiron, which is back open for takeout. Those things are going to happen, and it's going to help the community in general.
That's right. It's just like that shop local thing. They're not going to take their money and go off to somewhere else. They're going to spend it right here in Bellows Falls. And it's so important that you're helping these local businesses. And it's like a ripple effect that you drop the stone in the pond in the water, and it ripples out. And this money's going to affect everybody in the community. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah. You're welcome. One last piece that I just want to add for anybody who is considering the PPP, there is a forgiveness portion of this. The federal government has basically said if you do access the money, if you use it for the eligible purposes, then the funds will be forgiven by the SBA. If you do not use it for the intended purposes, it would be at a 1% interest rate. It would be amortized out on a very short-term payment schedule, which would be about 18 months. Basically, the program was a 2-year program where if you don't pay it all back or you don't have it forgiven, it will be amortized out. After 6 months of accruing interest with no payments, it'll amortize out for 18 months. So, for folks that don't use it all, but want to access the funds for something else, the 1% interest is obviously extremely low. And for some folks, it'll make sense to keep that balance and then make those payments over the next 18 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the SBA website does have all of this information. It does change fairly regularly, so we all try to stay on top of it as much as possible. But banks are the resource for this program right now. So if you want to contact me, I'm happy to talk to anyone, but otherwise your own local bank should have a program that they're offering as well, and should be able to answer some questions.
Great. Do we have any questions? Marty?
I guess I speak a little bit, as long as you, if I, just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, as long as you use it and you can prove that you use it for its intended purposes, i.e. payroll, not tax liability and not other things, but payroll, then it should be pretty much a no-brainer to get it forgiven.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. I just think there are some scenarios where individuals that were employees aren't able to come back to their work.
Right.
Because the schools are closed or their health
Yeah.
concerns. And so if they don't resume to work and the employer doesn't compensate them, whatever monies were earmarked for that employee would be unused.
Gotcha.
It then
Okay, gotcha.
it could
Okay,
fall
that
into
makes perfect sense.
category and be used for utilities or mortgage interest or rents. But if there weren't those expenses to expend that money, then it would be money that needed to be paid back on the loan.
Okay.
Or, as I said, that 1% would be charged for that 18-month term. So, every situation is unique. And as much as the federal government, I think, really tried to work a program that would benefit lots of people, there are those one-off scenarios where it wasn't a good fit. There's, just that situation where they're either going to need to pay the money back or they're going to have to take that amortized 18-month program.
Either way, it's a pretty good deal for everyone. I mean, the percentage of interest is so low that it's nice to have that cushion if they got the money and then they needed it. That's not a bad loan either. That's really, really good.
Yeah, exactly. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up while I have everyone is Mascoma Bank and our community foundation, our donations committee. We've got a great fund of money for our communities that we live and work in the footprint within Mascoma. The donations committee at the beginning of COVID-19 evaluated what was starting to happen and realized that we are going to probably need to fill a need after this passes. And so we as a company, our foundation, our board, were positioning ourselves to be able to help people in the aftermath of this, what things look like, how we allocate money. For anybody that's interested, if you go to the Mascoma Bank website and you go to community donations, there's some information out there about what Mascoma can do for nonprofits and for communities. And we really are just, trying to be proactive in our approach so that we're ready to help support people when COVID-19 events are over and we're trying to resume some type of normalcy. So certainly take a look at the website. And if anybody has any questions, I'd given my contact information early on in the show and would be happy to answer anything.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to change gears a little bit and we're going to go another.
He's back. Andrew's
back.
back.
I was filling in a little time there. I didn't know where he went, but we have Andrew Malshuk's with us today, and we want to talk with him about another local issue, schools. What's happening in the schools? How's online learning going? What's going to happen with graduation? What's going to happen with Project Grad? All those things that they're really up in the air right now. And it's the timing is such that it seems like the curve is flattening. We're at peak or past peak, and it may be time when people start looking at these things. And so it's sort of good to get an update from Andrew. So Andrew, welcome.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here.
What are you up to lately?
Working and a lot of schoolwork.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's school work? I mean, I don't even.
So right now it's everything is online. I check in with my class every day, and one of my classes I check in every Wednesday, and that's the attendance that I have for the week. And I just have to turn in all my assignments by their due date, and that's all the schooling I do.
So do you get assignments online then?
Yep.
And are they, if it's a written assignment, do you send it in as a PDF or as a Word document or what?
Well, it's 2020, so there is no written assignments anymore. I truthfully don't think I have handwritten an essay since probably sophomore year.
What?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Everything is on our computers. I mean, we all type it.
Well, I know what you mean. I know,
You're
but
still writing.
you still
Yeah.
type or do something, right? That's what I meant by writing. I didn't mean
Yeah.
get your
Well,
quill
so-
pen out.
Well, it's you, Mike. So,
Yes.
speaking to the older generations here,
Yes.
the more experienced. But no,
I wrote with a piece of charcoal on a shovel when I had to do something.
Yeah, we know when you rode your dinosaur to school, right? No, everything is on Google Docs and all through an app called Google Classroom. So everything is submitted. It all is nice and organized, so the teacher knows whose assignment is whose. And it's simpler than it has been in the past. You know what I mean? But there's a lot more work now, and there's a lot more assignments than usual.
So what classes are you taking?
I'm taking a lot more classes than I should be, just because I was behind on credits. I'm taking a print and broadcast media class. I'm taking a world cultures class. I'm taking a health class, a history class, and then a video production class.
Wow. Does this count as homework or a credit for something?
What, this video chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, you have
I
to be
wish.
creative.
Yeah. Actually, I do have assignments for one of my classes where I have to create a vlog or I have to do a radio podcast. And so some of them are interesting assignments, but a lot of it's pretty boring.
So you're going to be able to graduate this year?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, I
Good
better.
for you.
I ain't
Well,
doing
I
all
knew,
this work for nothing.
You came on the show live just before we got locked down, and you were saying at that point in time, there was some question as whether you'd be able to take enough classes and do enough work.
Well, thankfully, I got it all figured out, and that they have put in some systems to help us regain credits, and that we can do partial credit recovery. And there's online courses available now that weren't available in the past. So
it's actually working out pretty good for you.
it's working out awesome for me.
Yeah, because you're working too, right?
Yeah, I work 2 jobs.
Wow.
All on top of being on the fire department part-time also, which is nice. Volunteering there.
You still doing Civil Air Patrol? Is there much of that going on?
So I've been absent recently, and I've been trying to go to a meeting, but the meetings aren't happening anymore.
Yeah,
Just
is
'cause
it
of
like
the-
this?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if they're doing online stuff. So I'm really just waiting for this to be over so I can go back to the meetings and rejoin Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah, 2 jobs and school. You kids nowadays hardly do anything. When I was young, we used to work. It was
Yeah.
tough.
Well, as far as I know, I'm one of very few kids in my class that actually have a good paying job now.
Yeah,
There's
it's
not-
tough, isn't it?
There's not many that do it. There's a lot of kids that, the work is enough for them. It's too much, but I don't like to sleep at night. So
Good for you.
yeah.
What's happening as far as graduation?
So we are waiting for word from the governor, which should be here by May 8th, I think. Yes, May 8th. Whether or not we can have a graduation. He said that he would decide before then, so it could be any day now. If we do not have in-person graduation, I'm certain they're going to do a virtual graduation online, which people can attend to, because I know Zoom can handle, I think, like up to 300 people at a time.
How many kids are in your graduating class?
It's
Approximately.
around 300 right now.
Oh, that's actually a big class for, isn't it?
Yeah. Or no, never mind. Not 300. I'm wrong. There's like 80 kids. Yeah. Don't know why.
There's a little bit of a difference.
A little bit of difference here,
Now,
Andrew.
yeah.
There's like 300 people in my school is what I meant to say.
I was going to say, how's that math class going?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think we're running low on time, Mike.
Oh,
We got
okay.
an
I'm
alert
sorry.
from Alex.
Oh,
So
I didn't see an alert. Oh,
It's
Yeah,
on
it
the
came up
chat,
came up
yeah.
on chat. So yeah, we
Oh,
probably
okay.
should
So-
thank
You should,
everybody.
before I go, I'd just like to mention that, like Marty said before, that the Flatiron Exchange is open now. We're doing takeouts, 2 people allowed inside at a time. We're taking all the precautions for PPE and stuff like that. So definitely come down or call ahead for your order, and you can still get your coffee and your baked goods. And Jed's Power Equipment's now open again too. So bring your
yes.
cars in. Your car
Okay.
does not stop for Corona. I'm gonna get that made on a bumper sticker.
Okay. Well, thank you, Andrew, for coming on. Katie, thank you for
Yes, thank
coming
you,
on.
Katie.
And thanks for staying the whole time. You have to talk, I think, more louder so you take over the. Anyway.
Oh, thank you. It was great. I-
All right. And Marty, we'll see you next week. And that's
Yes.
it for the feed. So bye, Bellows Falls.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.